I hate this. I hate that this is happening. I really do. I know a lot of people think I'm just making these videos for views, and like, yeah, of course, I'm making videos for views. It's YouTube. I don't want to be making these videos for views. You know what I mean? I don't want to be upset about this stuff. I was excited for the Switch 2. Obviously. Obviously. I was excited for the Switch 2. That's why I was wearing my Mario shirt in that video. I was hyped. I was ready. I was ready to make a glowing video about the Switch 2, hyped about all of its new capabilities, hyped about all of its new features, excited for a new Mario Kart, excited for whatever they're going to show off. But instead I had to make a video about how Nintendo's in their greed era. And a lot of people are telling me, well, you know, this is not new. This has been going on. You've been blinded to it. And I'm looking back, and it's like finally, like, this is the cold water in the face. This is the moment where I finally realize what's been going on with Nintendo. This is the greed era of Nintendo. And we've seen it with Microsoft. You know, we saw it. They were trying to block cross-platform games on the Xbox 360. They were charging for online when nobody else was. They had online passes in some games, but I think that was like EA's thing, not necessarily just Microsoft. DLC was crazy, expensive, and they were starting to blow up microtransactions. Again, I know there's other companies to blame for it. PlayStation came in, they were kicking ass, and then they started getting greedy, and they started trying to block cross-platform play of Fortnite. They started trying to reel in exclusives. They were tugging at Call of Duty, just like Microsoft was, to get first launch access and all these different things. And then PlayStation 5 hit, and that console was very expensive. PlayStation Plus went up in price. The controller is expensive, but it's also... There's a lot of things that PlayStation's been doing that is very scummy. And Nintendo has been scummy for a long time for a lot of different reasons. They came after YouTubers for daring to make reviews or videos or anything with Nintendo games. They would copyright claim them. They've gone after a bunch of different emulation websites and ROM sites, and all this litigiousness and anti-piracy stuff. I just kind of wrote it off as old school Japan thought, where they're just like they're just too aggressive for their brand. You know, they're too defensive. But no, now I'm waking up to $80 games, $450 console, paid online, and I'm not here for it. That's the thing. $450 is too much for the Switch 2. $400 I think would have been more reasonable in my opinion, but that's just me. I think $400 would have been a great place to be. I think I could have justified that. I wouldn't be too upset. And even the $450, I'm like, I don't like it, but I kind of get it. But at the same time, $400 I think is where my happy place. $80 games is where I drew the line, and I'm like, okay, $70 games I hate already. And I think I bought Tears of the Kingdom for $70, which I regret, since unfortunately I was not a huge fan of the game, but that's just my own dealings. And I think that's it. That is the only game I've bought for $70. Other than that, I don't buy games at full price. When it was $60, I was kind of iffy on it, but now that it's $70, I'm like, no. $80, I'm not even buying your console. I don't care what reasons you have, and the reasons they do have are terrible, because the response from Nintendo has made me want a Nintendo Switch 2 even less. Even if it went on sale, even if they backtracked a lot of this stuff, I'd be very tempted to just be like, nah, you soured me on it. I'm done. I'm soured on the whole thing. I'm not even excited anymore. And that's not the video I want to make. That's not the video I want to make for this. I wanted to be excited for the Switch 2 because I loved the idea of the Nintendo Switch. I loved the idea of having gaming on the go and at home. It's just great. It was something new. It was something interesting. And that's what Nintendo does. And that's what I've always loved about Nintendo stuff, is that they're always trying some wacky new thing. And even if it doesn't work, like the Wii U, they tried something new. The 3D on the 3DS, did I use it? Barely ever, but they tried something new. The DS itself, there's 2 screens and one's a touchscreen. That's so weird, but they tried something new. The Switch 2, they're not really trying anything new now. You know, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But at the same time, they're selling so many things to us that are just not a huge leap for gaming, but they're a huge leap for them. And their response to $80 games is to delete the live streams where people are spamming drop the price on all of the Treehouse Live videos. Every live stream they did was just flooded with drop the price. Good. It should be like that. We should be voicing our opinions about this. They should be listening to what we're saying, but instead they're doubling down. Here's the quote from Nintendo of America's boss, Doug Bowser, about $80 games. "What you see right there is variable pricing," Bowser told the Washington Post. "We'll look at each game, really look at the development that's gone into the game, the breadth and the depth of the gameplay, if you will, the durability over time, and the repeatability of gameplay experiences. Those are all factors, and there's many more that go into the consideration of what is the right price point for the game. So I think you can anticipate that there will be variable pricing, and we haven't set a benchmark." In this article, right after that, it says, "This is a statement that suggests that some Switch 2 titles are going to be less for $80, and some might be more." And I want to just take a look at that first part, where variable pricing. Let's focus on variable pricing. That has been a thing for a while. Variable pricing has been in the game industry for a long time, like since games, you know? But for the longest time, like long as I can remember, back to the PlayStation 2 era, I think that's when all the game companies came together and they set that $50 price limit. That was the upper echelon of what they would charge for a game. Then during the 360 era, PS3 era, it went up to $60. PS4, Xbox One, they kept it as $60. $70 then hit during the Series X and PlayStation 5 era. So I was going to assume that that was the limit, that was the ceiling we were going to see for this entire generation. Now Nintendo is trying to push that further. 2K, I believe, was the first one. I've been told by many people in my last video's comment section that 2K was the first one to hit that $70 mark. The industry followed. Now we're seeing $80. And if Nintendo is successful, if Nintendo is able to set that new ceiling, then they've just bumped it up another $10 during the same generation. And that's the thing. A lot of people are going to defend this. They're going to defend the $70 price tag. They've defended the $60 price tag. And they'll always say, oh, well, video games haven't gone up in price. There's this myth that video games have been $60 for this long period of time. And that's just not true. Once DLC and microtransactions, season passes, map packs, battle passes, you name it. Once those things entered into video games, that initial price tag is now no longer the full price tag of the game. You don't get the full game. You don't get the full game experience for that $60. You have to worry about extra purchases on top of that. And I don't think you can call a game only $60 if there is more stuff piled on top later that they're charging money for, especially microtransactions. Once you add in microtransactions, your game basically should be free to play, in my opinion. And even before we had that sort of monetization, even before we had microtransactions in every single game, we still saw video games as one of the most profitable industry ever, and that has not changed. Nintendo is not raising these games to $80 because they're suffering. They're doing it because they have been very successful, and they feel like they can get away with it. They feel like, oh, you know what? We're doing amazing. We can do whatever we want now. And people will just pay whatever the hell we tell them to pay. And I don't want them to have that mindset. They are in their greed era. And if you weren't convinced already that this is Nintendo's greed era, I mean, look at this quote from Doug Bowser. "We recognize there are some people that may not be able to afford the Switch 2's price point. That's why we wanted to make the other Switch platforms available, so people still have an opportunity to come into our gaming universe. Be a part of these characters in these worlds. This sounds like the same tone-deaf response we got from Microsoft during the Xbox One's launch.
And fortunately, we have a product for people who aren't able to get some form of connectivity. It's called Xbox 360.
Right. So stick with 360. That's your message if you don't like it?
I don't want Nintendo to continue down this path in their greed era. I want them to be knocked down a peg so they become more customer-friendly again. Because they have not been customer-friendly since the Wii U. Wii U, they were very customer-friendly because they had to be. They came out with those player select games that were very cheap. They tried to discount the system as much as they could. And they were very generous with how many people they let into their Nintendo Ambassador program where people could review games and people could get access to news and could basically direct link to Nintendo. How do I know this? Because I was one of them. And then as soon as the Switch came out, they're like, oh, your channel's not big enough. Sorry, bye. Bye now. And a lot of people that I know were booted off the program. Because you're not good enough for us anymore. We know we're good now. You were there when we were at our lowest point. But now that we're big, just go away. And it's, that didn't drive me away from Nintendo during the Switch era. I wasn't going to hold it against it. It's like, I get it. You've got a lot more creators now coming for you. And you need to cater to the biggest audiences. I get it. It's a business. But they just kept going down that greed rabbit hole. It started with that, and then it went to being super litigious and copyright striking everybody. And they finally got rid of the copyright striking thing, but the fact that they did it to begin with is ridiculous. Oh, and the paid online, and now we're seeing $80 games. And they're just trying to say, like, the second part of this quote. When you look into the depth of gameplay, repeatability, I mean, if you want to say like that, Balatro shouldn't be like a $15 game. Balatro should be $1 million game. Balatro should be $1 billion game, for sure. Minecraft, infinite money game. You should have to pay monthly to play Minecraft, in Nintendo's opinion, if you're looking at it this way. And that's not a precedent I want set. Because now, if $80 is the ceiling, or maybe it's not even the ceiling, maybe they're opening it up now. Now there's no more ceiling. We're back to the Wild West days of $100 games, $95 games, just all over the place. There's no more set ceiling. Like Grand Theft Auto 6, they want it to be a $100 game, yet it's going to be chock full of microtransactions because they're going to have that Grand Theft Auto Online attached to it. And they're just going to completely disregard that part. No. Just focus on the fact that look at how many hours and years of time we put in this game. That's why this is $100. Don't look at how much money we're making on Grand Theft Auto 5 and milking the hell out of it. It's so sad that we have any people defending this at all, but I am not here for it. And I will not be buying a Switch 2, and I recommend you do the same. Another thing that is baffling to me is the fact that they're not using the Hall effect for the controllers. Hall effect joysticks are a type of joysticks that use magnets and electrical conductors to measure their position, distance, and movement when in use. Unlike standard analog sticks, which use electrical resistance to detect movement, Hall effect joysticks have no physical contact between moving parts. This means they do not wear out easily and they do not develop stick drift. The fact that Joy-Cons were a major problem for Nintendo and they developed stick drift like that. I mean, I have never had stick drift in like any other controller, but the Joy-Con developed stick drift like immediately. They're not going to fix that. They're not going to use this technology, and they're still charging $150 more for the system. And they're still going to charge, what, $90 probably for the Joy-Cons? $80 to $90, and they're not going to use this technology? It is crazy to me that this exists, and they're just not doing it. For what reason? It's like you're skipping out on these huge quality-enhancing things that would make your system stand out from the other ones. And make sure that you know, like make sure your customer knows rather, that they will not have to worry about the same problem they did with the Switch. But no, they opted to go for the old technology, and we'll probably see stick drift again. And when they inevitably come out with the Switch 2 Lite, If you get stick drift on that thing, you have to buy a new thing because you can't take those off. So it's just baffling to me that Nintendo has decided to go this route. It makes me sad. I really want to be excited for the system, but instead of making the videos that I want, I have to make videos like this where I'm just like, Nintendo, please listen to us. Don't delete your Treehouse lives because people spammed drop the price just because you should drop the price. Stop trying to hide our feedback. Listen to us. You are incredibly successful with the Switch. Let's recreate that success. I want to support your company, but when you're constantly giving us the backhand in every single way, whether it comes to the new pricing or the fact that you don't even support your tournament community, and it's just you're constantly beaten down on game preservation, you've become a company I don't want to support anymore at all. This is the straw that broke the camel's back. And it's funny that people will say, oh, you have Switches, you have all these games, of course you're going to buy it. Yeah, I'm a fan, but I'm a real fan. I'm not a fanboy. Fans will criticize the things they like because they want to see it get better. They want to see them improve. And fanboys don't use that logical factor of their brain and instead just mindlessly praise it, which will lead these companies and creators and producers and all these different things down the wrong path. Because criticism, helpful criticism, is important for the things that you care about. And when you see them going down the wrong path, you need to correct it. Otherwise, you're not going to like it anymore. You're not going to like that company. And in some cases, those companies fold. So if you really care about the things that you like, you're going to criticize and allow criticism of. And I'm going to make a whole video about that, so I'm not going to go too much farther than that. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think about all this, how you think about how Nintendo reacted. Like the video if you guys liked it. Subscribe for more content. Go check out my Pokemon channel. It's down below. And have a fantastic day. See you, everybody.